Hi, my name is Kim Ambroise, and I'm one of the assistant principals at Hall High School. I am a leader who leads with equity and access as my personal background is being multilingual and multicultural, which has helped me understand the needs of our diverse population in West Hartford. I am a Cuban American who had parents immigrate to the United States in the 1980s. I spoke Spanish until I learned English in kindergarten. I'm currently raising our twins with my husband, Jeff, to speak Spanish and English. And my husband's family is from Haiti and he speaks Creole. So in my home as well, it's a multilingual and multicultural experience. We reside here in West Hartford and utilize the programs it has to offer, such as playgroups at Charter Oak and the Hall and Conard Preschool. And I talked to you a little bit about who I am to now talk about some of my passions as well. And as a Cuban woman who grew up in a bilingual household, I can tell you that when someone speaks in my language of my family and the language of my background, and the language of my culture, it does go straight to my heart. And I'm very passionate about the equity work we do here at Hall and within the West Hartford community. I've been an assistant principal here at Hall High School for 7 years, and I was a former school counselor at Farmington High School. So equity to me means meeting the needs of all of our learners. Some of the most exciting parts of my jobs is working with children to help them find their voice and taking their voice into action where they can have self-agency through the committees and programs I oversee with the goal of collective efficacy. So where we are all working together towards a common goal to make Hall a more equitable place and supporting our students in gaining a vision of our graduate skills through their experiences here at Hall High School. So some of the ways that we have worked on our equity work is through the committees I oversee. For instance, one of them is our student faculty committee, which meets once a month at Hall. That's student-driven goals, and it's for students grade 9 through 12 to join. Last year in particular, we worked on our advisory called Community, which focuses on social emotional learning and our social justice curriculum that I'll go into in a moment. But it was great to get student feedback and student agency to help and create some of those lessons that we have. Another program that we have here to diversify our teaching workforce as well as diversify the clubs and activities we offer at Hall High School is our Future Educators of Diversity, where students of diverse backgrounds and experience who aspire to be future educators receive opportunities to educate and inspire students at each school and at each grade level, whether they are engaging in book readings at the elementary level, at the middle school level, helping with running academic homework clubs for students, and tutoring, or at the high school level and helping to create our community lessons that I mentioned earlier. They are gaining the necessary instructional strategies and skills to become future educators. And in turn, we hope that some of these student leaders pursue education and come back and teach in our school community. The outcome has been that we have had many teacher assistants that have graduated through our Future Educators of Diversity come back to Conard and Hall High School, the West Hartford high schools within our community, as well as the middle and elementary level, because they've gained those skills and experiences, and now we're trying to help them gain those work experiences. So for when they finish your teaching program, they get an automatic interview here because we want our teaching staff to be more representative of the culture and the community that we serve, with more than 70 spoken languages within our West Hartford community, because we know that's what's best for kids and that's best for all kids. Another example is our Equity Squad, where we have students in grades 9 through 12 identify and prioritize needs and concerns in our community that are focused on equity. Last year, our students created an equity symposium where they were educating other students pertaining to race, cultural competency, and equity topics. This year, we are helping our students in creating our community lessons. This summer, our Equity Squad leaders equity engineers, we call them. They created our community lessons and our community structure to meet the needs of our overall community. And I'll talk more about community now, but they have been instrumental in helping us understand what's relevant, what is necessary, what needs to be celebrated and honored. They want to see their voice and their experiences in our curriculum. And that's really our focus on community. So a community block, which is our school-wide program, right, that where all grades through 9 through 12 students experience community, and there is one teacher that teaches it, and it's once a week on Wednesdays for 20 minutes. So our community block provides a space for lesson delivery to meet the social and emotional needs of our children. The tenets of our community consist of social and emotional learning and social justice curriculum through cultural responsive pedagogy, which has been an essential component to our equity focused work. Our goal is to build community within community, and students and teachers and administrators are working together from both Conard and Hall High School to create these lessons, which has been extremely powerful. The tenets of our educational equity policy and our vision for equity and anti-racism serve as a compass for planning community. Community lessons consist of our acknowledgement and value of identities and narratives to help foster a positive self-concept, embrace diversity, and understand injustices, as well as show empathy and demonstrate concern for equity. Discussing local and national civic events into classroom lessons and school community has really helped us in appropriate developmental ways, help students express their feelings, and help students hear the perspectives of others. So the structure of community, what does that look like, and how does that work in our 8-period day? So at the high school, community teachers facilitate these lessons for 20 minutes on Wednesday. This is a part of our community curriculum that's designed to build positive relationships, as student feedback highlighted the importance of allowing time for students to get to know who's in the room right before we do our social emotional learning and social justice curriculum. So we have a lot of team building activities in the beginning, specifically in September. And the lessons were designed to honor and celebrate diversity. Heritage Months are intended to acknowledge and honor the narratives and lived experiences of others. The structure and format and routine support our efforts in building a more equitable, inclusive, and socially just learning environment. And we have it's time for me to also give credit to everyone who is a part of our work. Our Office of Equity and Advancement that is ran by Dr. Rosina Haskins, with support of Dr. Scott Ratchford, has made My Equity Vision a reality, right? This is their vision that we are in and facilitating, and we wouldn't be able to do it without the support of them. Our building administrators, as well as our cultural responsive instruction team, and that's teachers that meet 3 times a week with me, along with students, to develop our community curriculum. And they also help us in supporting and sending out our curriculum to students and parents and caregivers so they know the topics and themes. And it's been a tremendous resource. And for our students that have worked alongside of us to make community meaningful for them and for our community, we also want to give some credit and recognition for. And also we have Jocelyn Tamborella Noble, who is an assistant principal at Conard High School, who is our district liaison for community for both Conard and Hall High School. And I would like for us to continue to grow and expand in programs and committees and clubs that I discussed before in this session, to increase student agency, student self-efficacy, and to help students reach their full potential. I would like to see our collective efficacy among staff, support staff, and administration with our equity work to continue. And we started that work last year through our Culture and Climate Committee meetings. One of those Culture and Climate Committees is a regulations committee that works on how do we transfer our equity and anti-racism 1800 policy into our student handbook, right? And we started to look look at ways to make that very positive. And some of those ways that we started to transfer that information is looking at, how we want our learners to emulate the vision of the graduate, skills and dispositions, and how do we align that with our equity and anti-racism 1800 policy. So we look to expand on that for this school year. Instead of looking at equity and putting it under the frame of, discipline and consequences if it's violated, we want to be proactive and demonstrate and have an understanding of what that looks like as students are adhering, following our equity and anti-racism policy. So that's one of our really important parts of our work for this school year. And we want to continue to grow in how we analyze data to inform our instruction, curriculum, and assessment and social and emotional learning needs for our students through the lens of equity. Right now, we are currently through our data committee, who's overseen by one of our assistant principals, Sarah Isaacs, looking at street data book, right? And how do we have the stories of others come to light, and that becomes part of our data to support the needs of all learners in our building and to continue our growth in our equity path. As we know that there's a continuum, and we're never going to say that our work is done. We always want to continue to do better and grow and learn. And lastly, our educational components committee that's overseen by Melissa Hickey, one of our assistant principals here, right? How do we continue to restore and repair the harm that has been done to individuals in our community so each student feels seen, valued, heard, and supported, right, when harm is done. So we're continuously expanding our educational components because we want to make these moments teachable moments to our students to continue to be strong up standards when there are acts that violate our anti-racism and equity policy. So these are the components of our future work that I'm excited to continue to work on because it's, everyone is on a different aspect in the cultural continuum. So professional learning for staff, learning for students through our community program will continuously be one of our goals that we commit to as we have that in our calendar for professional learning, our equity next steps, and what the needs of our community are and how can we continue to grow and expand. Thank you very much for listening to this. I appreciate everyone's time and your personal efforts to make our schools more equitable and inclusive and a safe and welcoming community for all students.